Hey there, FlossTube. This is Alma coming to you from Long Beach, California. Today is Thursday, April 23rd of the year 2020, and this is my 17th FlossTube. So, welcome to you all to Alma's Little Wonders. Welcome back to all returning viewers and subscribers. Thank you very much for your continuing support. And if you're new, then welcome. I'm happy to have you. I hope you like what you see and you find a reason to stay and subscribe and to continue to follow me on my stitching journey. I hope that you are all doing well in these crazy times. I hope that you're staying safe and sound and are taking all the precautions necessary so that we can navigate this historic times that we're living through at the moment. We're still doing okay here. We are still doing pretty much the same thing. In case this is the first time joining, I do live in an apartment with my boyfriend. He is working from home. He's just been taking conference calls left and right, which has pretty much messed up his sleeping schedule or his regular routine, so to speak. So yeah, so we're still trying to get through it, but you know, I'm still finding plenty of stitching time, and I hope that you do as well. I am coming to you a little bit earlier this week, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but I have gotten plenty of stitching done so far, even if it is a little bit earlier than usual. So let's get to the stitching. For the School of Magical Stitches this week, we are still in the tail end of the next two of the Billings books that we're reading. So the first prompt was we needed to do or work on a whip that either had a gingerbread house or it had the materials that you could use to build a gingerbread house. I have nothing of the sort. And they do encourage you to try to be creative and, you know, make up a story to kind of match the whip to the prompt, but that I didn't have anything that I could possibly use, in my opinion. So instead I went for the penalty option for that one, and I pulled up my Hogwarts Castle piece. Since I didn't work on this last week, I did feel like it was overdue. I found this pattern on the Stitching Girls Etsy shop, but I did get this back in like 2016 or so it's no longer listed. But this is one of my oldest whips. Even though I got the pattern in 2016, I didn't start until 2018. But I did go ahead and use it for the prompt. So penalty option this week is 450 stitches, which pretty much meant that I still went with the black that's over here on the edge. This is a page break right here, so I did want to go ahead and stop at that point just for the sake of making sure that I had a mark, so that when I do finish this page I can easily take the picture for the sake of credit for Stitch from Stash, so that I could say this is the page I worked on. But I ended up working on the black down here, and I also started doing some more of the little tower that's peeking on the side. I'm not quite sure what it is. It's this one right here. The first tower that comes through from the ground. I'm not quite sure what it is. I thought it was like an observation tower of some sort, but no idea. And I also did some of the darker grays over here as well. I'm trying to, you know, I try to balance it out between doing block stitching with all the black, but also working on the confetti. However, I'm pretty much done with the block stitching. So I just have the confetti left, which is great. I mean, it's fine. I just put on a movie. It's easier. It takes care of it. But the goal for that piece is to reach 80,000 stitches by the end of the year. Right now I'm at like 62 or so. I forgot to check, but I do remember thinking it's roughly about 20,000 stitches left to go. So it's not that bad. I think I can do it. The next prompt we had to do was we needed to work on a whip that had something that you could use as minions, because Ursula has Flotsam and Jetsam, the eels that do her bidding. And again, I didn't have anything that I could use for that, because I mean, most of my pieces have people, like if they do have some sort of living object on them, it's people. And so sorry, I had to grab the whip. It fell to the ground when I was grabbing Hogwarts. But I did use my Peter Pan piece. So for the focus for this week was once more on this this top corner right here. Oh, I forgot to show you the finished product. So this is what it's gonna look like when it is finished. This is the MCG Textiles kit based on Thomas Kincaid's Disney Dreams collection. These are out of print, so you can probably find one for a ridiculous price on eBay. Otherwise, sorry. But yeah, so the focus for this assignment became on this top corner right here by Peter Pan's feet. There's a lot of color changes in that section. I just wanted it done. Once I finish that section, there are a couple of blue, like blobs, like tiny stitches of color, like up here and over here, that I left blank because those colors are used on the kids, because the kids are pretty much flying over here, and I didn't want to start on that color because then I would be compelled to start on the kids and finish the kids, and that was a lot of stitches to do. So instead I went ahead and I jumped over to this bottom area right here, which was great. I really liked these lilacs, and it's like a really soft green. It's pretty much the same colors that were used over here on this section. This is it's going to be a lot of the same colors that will be used down here. So it was great. I did get like one more column finished on the side once I did finish that section, which made me happy. I actually did go, in order to get those two or that column finished, I did go a little bit over the prompt. I ended up doing 500 stitches on this, which was it felt nice. It felt good. The next prompt we had to do was we needed to work on a whip that defined us as a person. And this was actually pretty difficult. Like this actually involved thinking. And the whip that I ended up choosing may surprise a lot of you that know me personally, because I ended up going with my Bilbo piece. So for this prompt, I decided to be a little bit more like go beyond the basics of the whip. So this is Bilbo's Home by Mandarin's Designs. This was my New Year, New Start piece, so I do want to finish it by the end of the year. But the reason why I chose this is because Bilbo as a character, he starts out being like a very straight arrow. He likes his peace and his quiet. He's just, you know, another hobbit in Bag End, in Hobbiton, or Shire. See, I'm not the biggest Hobbit fan. I'm not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. Like, but I chose it because he's a straight arrow in the beginning. He ends up going on this like amazing adventure, and this particular image for me is him daydreaming whilst also like enjoying his cup of tea from the comfort of his own home. And I don't know, like that's why I like the image. That's why I decided to go ahead and stitch it up, is because I feel my mom used to call me Little Dreamer when I was younger. I always seem to have my head in the clouds, but I'm also not the biggest adventurer. Like, I'm not one to take risks or anything, just do anything that even remotely smells of danger or excitement. Like, that's not me. So yeah, so I'll just stick to dreaming and admiring other people that do and looking at the view without necessarily from the comfort of my own home, just like Bilbo. So for that prompt, I'm not done stitching on it yet, but I did start it last night. I'm trying to do kind of color by color thing, so I did work on some browns that were here on the edge, and I'm in the process of doing a dark purple that goes in the doorway. I'm a little over halfway done. I've gotten 175 stitches done so far, and the prompt calls for 300, so I'm almost done with this. I'm also going to go ahead and not double dip, but use it again for another prompt that we had this week, where we have to stitch on something purple, using the color purple. And that's because Ursula has purple skin. So the color that I'm using right now is 154 DMC, which is a dark purple. So I will go ahead, if I have some stitch. Oh, I should have done it backwards. Oh well. If I have some, I'll go ahead and use this. If not, I do have Wonder Woman, which I'll show you in a bit, that uses the same color. So if I run out of purple stitches on this, I can use her. So brain fart. My stitching mojo has been acting up recently, and I don't like it. Usually I'm very into my cross stitching. I know exactly what I want to do. I have no problem doing the prompts, because for me that's what motivates me. And just earlier this week, I don't know, I just lost the mojo, and I ended up, so in case you've been watching my previous videos, then you know, and I think it was just the one actually, it might have been just one or two. I mentioned that I was going to do the 100-day project with Lindsay, and I didn't stitch on it for 2 days. I think it was like Monday and Tuesday, and for me, and that was like the beginning, the beginning of the end of the mojo, because at that point, since I missed 2 days, I was like, dang it, like there goes one more challenge that I wasn't able to do, because I've tried to do 100-day challenges like that in the past, and I always seem to drop out. Not as early as this time around. I usually can do maybe like 30-40 days, but this time I was like barely like day 12 or something, and that was it. And I was like, well, there it goes. And that just bummed me out, because then I wasn't like, again, I'm like, oh, I can't do these challenges. And then yeah, that was just the beginning. At that point, like, I did start on my prompts, but I wasn't particularly enjoying working on my prompts. So yeah, so it's been a weird week. So I've decided to, because I do have some prompts ready to go, as I mentioned, but I've decided that if I'm not feeling up to it, then I just won't do them, and I'll stitch on one. Excuse me, I'll stitch on whatever I want, whenever I want. Having said that, I did start on the enchanted stitching challenges this week. The first one we had to do was we needed to work on a prompt that represented one of the characters for the movie Cars, which is the movie that we're focusing on this month. And so I decided to go with Sally, who's the town lawyer. And I went ahead and I worked on my Wonder Woman piece for that prompt, because they're both very, justice-seeking people. and she is one of my focuses for WIPCO this month. So I decided, okay, well, I need to work on her anyways, so might as well make it count. So, excuse me, for her, I did do 500 stitches on this, so that I could go ahead and accomplish the WIPCO goal. Is this right? That's not right. So this is what I have so far. And for the prompt, I did work on the browns down here and a little bit of the grays. And then the next section that I do have is the one with more of the dark purple. I don't know if you can see. It's pretty much this color right here. So yeah, it goes against the light. Yeah, so it's this, it's very dark grape is I think the official name for it. But it's got plenty of that color, so again, if I can't get 100 stitches out of Bilbo, then I can definitely get 100 stitches out of Wonder Woman. It'll be no problem. The next prompt we have for enchanted stitching was we needed to work on a whip that was either, it had European influences, either the artist was European, or it depicted the European scene. So and this is because one of the characters, Luigi, I think his name is, he gets really excited about meeting Lightning McQueen because he's a race car, and then he says, "Do you know the Ferraris?" And then Lightning McQueen's like, "No, that's another division. No, I do this," and he's like, "Luigi follows only the Ferraris." So for that one, I did pick up my Tuscan home piece because Tuscany is in an Italian region, so there it is. I did pick it up for that prompt, and this is one of the focuses because that's one of the closest goals that I'm getting close. One of the goals that I'm getting close to achieving. It's been a week, guys. But I actually fudged it up. So when I was doing my WIPCO board, I put down that the monthly goal, the goal for the month that it was called, I wanted to reach 5,000 stitches. But then it was backwards, actually, backwards. So, because that's the correct one. So the monthly goal, I said, I'm just gonna do a page finish. Like, I don't know where I'll be at this point, but wherever I'm at, if and when this piece is called, I'll go ahead and work towards a page finish. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Heaven and Earth Designs charts, the pages, either if it's a large format, there's 6,200 stitches. If it's a regular format, it's 8,000 stitches. And then the yearly goal that I put down for it was 5,000 stitches. I flipped them. I flipped them and I did not notice. So like all this time I've been working towards the 5K goal because I'm like, that's the yearly goal that I put down. And the other day I was because I did, so once I finished the 500 stitches on Wonder Woman, that took care of the WIPCO goal requirement of doing 1,000 stitches. So I was marking that down, and that's when I realized like Tuscan Home is flipped. So I'm not as close to reaching that goal as I thought I was. I thought I was like super close, and now it turns out that I have to do 3,000 more stitches. But that's okay. I went ahead and worked on it anyways. I did get those 500 stitches in. So I'm still working on the blue over here, and I'm adding some of the white. There we go. Some of the white stitches down here. And there's going to be a lot of white coming up. I just checked. There's going to be a lot of white coming up in my future for this. So that's going to be exciting. Not. But yeah. So this is, again, not as close to being done for the year as I thought it was, but that's okay. I will go ahead and work on it anyways. And that's as far as I got for the prompts on enchanted stitching. The rest of the stitching I did was, again, whatever I felt like stitching on at the time, without necessarily taking it into account, like if it fit any prompts. So one of the pieces that I continued working on was my Disney Villains piece by Zana Cross Stitch. I just, again, like I was on a roll last week. Last week I pretty much finished the Evil Queen's crown, and that felt good. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna keep going on this. So I kept going on the black. That's pretty much all I did. I'm using some stitching on this while my boyfriend plays the new Final Fantasy game. So that pretty much means that I have to find blocks of color to do, so that I don't have to necessarily, because I do want to watch. I'm excited about the game as well. I just watch, like, it's a one-player game, so it's not like I can join him in playing, but we're both like super into it. So yeah, so I'm like, okay, what can I stitch on that I don't necessarily have to, like, you know, take away from the game while I, you know, consult the pattern. So I just started doing a bunch of black down here, and on top of her headdress as well. But in total, this has gotten 312 stitches this week so far. The weekly total is supposed to be 350, so I haven't even reached that yet. But I'm sure I will, because again, I do feel like I've been on the roll with this whip, and I want to keep going. The next one that has been getting me a lot of work done is my very nice. Is my Haku piece, and this is by a designer named Ekaterina Saitova. And I started this at the beginning of the month because it was it was the second whip go piece that was called. So I have been working on it a lot more. Now I'll see if I can okay, you could kind of see it that way, sorry, because if I go like this then you get a bunch of shadows and grays. So let's see if we can make this work. Yeah, no, it's I'll just put it that way, guys, sorry. But I've pretty much started working my way down. I did grid the next piece of the whip. But yeah, some of the colors do kind of disappear a little bit, like you can't even see. I mean, it's partly because of the shadow or the lighting, but there's some whites over here on the side that they're still there and you can tell they're there, which is why I don't have a problem with it, but they do kind of blend in a lot. But yeah, again, I actually haven't even counted my stitches on this. I know I said I would. The last video I said, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and count up how many stitches I've done. But instead of counting my stitches, I decided to go ahead and keep stitching. So I'm just really, really happy with this. I'm so excited. And I'm just working on this while, so yeah, so I'm not that I'm only working on this, but since that's a paper pattern, I tend to work on it out. So my setup is on a desk that we have here in the living room. So whenever Andrew is trying, or my boyfriend is trying to take a conference call, then at that point I go ahead and, you know, kind of take it out here. Work out here. And yeah, so that's been my go-to piece pretty much, because again, I'm obsessed with it. And yeah, I do want to make it not a priority per se, but seeing as how far I've come, because at this point I'm pretty much done with like this top half right here. Not top half, but I'm pretty much done with all of this. So it's going by really fast. So I'm actually thinking about trying to finish it this year. Fingers crossed. But yeah, so that's been all the stitching that I've done this week. the reason why I'm coming at you Thursday instead of my regular Friday videos is because this weekend is a very busy weekend. Everything is happening this weekend, and I'm participating in all of it, hopefully. I mean, they're just sales, which you can stitch. It's literally stitch at leisure. There's no stitch counts involved. There's nothing involved. But so first thing is happening is this Friday is Jessie Marie's birthday. Jessie Marie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff. She is having her 32nd birthday, so she's having a little sale under the hashtag shortest birthday sale, because it's a 30-second, like half a minute, get it? It's a 30-second birthday sale. So so she said that we needed, in order to go ahead and join, to go ahead and just work on anything that has to do with time or seasons. So I am going to be working on Change of Seasons 2 for that particular sale. So Friday, this will be my focus piece. And I'll go ahead and work on it for Friday. I'm also going to work on this because I'm joining the Easter egg hunt from Full Coverage Fanatics, which again, you just have to do something that's related to Easter. Either the theme itself is Easter, or it has Easter like colors, like if it's spring, so depending on where you are in the world, right? So if it's spring right now on your side of the world, then do things that have like spring like colors. If you're other side of the world, just adjust accordingly. So I'm using this because, I mean, obviously it has all the seasons, so even for me, like this yellowy can be considered Easter-like, but you do have spring and summer over here. So so I will go ahead and do that for Full Coverage Fanatics as well. And the third event that's happening this weekend, so the birthday sale is just Friday, but the Easter egg hunt is all weekend long. And the second event that's going on this weekend is Jen Lees from Quirks and Stitches. She's hosting the next 24 hours of cross stitch marathon this weekend, in which in the span of 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you're supposed to stitch for 24 hours. Originally, this was like a one-day event where you literally stitch for 24 hours straight. Then they extended it to like 2 days, so like Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, I don't remember. But now it's just become 3 days. So it's been a lot more lenient. Obviously, you don't have to do 24 hours. You don't have to kill yourself to try to stitch for 24 hours. Just as long as you you join in for however many hours you can, and in whatever time, or like you can go ahead and, you know, go about your regular day. If you just, you know, fit in 2 hours here, 2 hours there, however you can participate, you're encouraged to participate. So for that, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and work on June, which is my Heaven and Earth Designs piece. Which again, this I can also go ahead and use this for full coverage Fanatics, since you know, flowers are spring, right? So I will go ahead and work on her on Saturday, and then Sunday I'll go ahead and work on my teacup display piece, because I do want to get this finished as soon as I can. So I'll go ahead and focus on this one on Sunday. So I don't know, I mean, I know I'll be able to reach the full 24 hours, but I don't know how many hours I'll work on each whip. I just know that those are going to be the 3 whips that I do focus on. And yeah, so that's going to be my weekend plan. So I did want to record today so that I had the full weekend to go ahead and focus on stitching for, you know, 24 hours of cross stitch. The next thing, I did want to mention my mania plans. So as I mentioned, my previous videos, but in case you didn't watch, I had originally planned to go through my entire rotation for Mania using one whip at a time, because I'm the kind of person that normally stitches on multiple projects a day, you know, especially when it comes to working on homework. Sometimes as soon as I finish a homework prompt, I'll go ahead and start on the other, or just work on something else. So I thought, hey, for me, a great challenge would be to just work on one whip, and then focus on that for several days, and then move on to another whip. And as nice as that idea was, it became very apparent that I wasn't going to be able to do it because of the way that my boyfriend's currently working from home. As I mentioned, he takes conference calls pretty much back to back, and I do step out of the room for those, which means that from the other day, he didn't even come out of the computer room until like 7, which was when the conference call was done. So I realized that I wouldn't have access to my pattern keeper patterns during that time. So what I've decided to do instead is I'm going to go ahead and focus on my Mania pieces from last time. So last year I did finish most of them. I still have 3 that were in place. They were Hogwarts, Peter Pan, and then a watercolor floral piece that I haven't really worked on that much. So I'm like, well, it's as good time as any to take it back out. So what I'm going to do is I'll give each of them 5 days, and then I'll give Teacup Display 5 days, and then on the 21st I'll be starting a new piece, and then give that one 5 days, and then for the remainder of the month I'll work on whatever I feel needs to be worked on, essentially. But yeah, so that's going to be the plan for next month. And so the reason why I changed it up is because both watercolor floral and Peter Pan are both pieces that I can do outside of the room. They're both hardcover patterns, like physical paper patterns. So being locked out of the room won't be much of an issue. But yeah, so that's going to be the plans for Mania, and that's going to be my plans for the weekend, for this weekend at least. I'll see what the mojo feels like after the weekend. I hope it comes back, because losing it so close to Mania makes me nervous. But yeah, I hope that you guys are staying safe. I hope that you've liked what you see. I know that it's not as much as I normally show, but that's because I haven't had that much time and because I haven't been stitching much, period. But hopefully that'll change soon. So yeah, I hope that you have time to work on whatever makes you happy during these crazy times, and whether that be cross stitching, knitting, anything that makes you happy, everything that makes your heart sing. So until next time, happy stitching, guys. Bye.